What's going on, guys? Hope you're having a wonderful day. I know today is Thanksgiving. Hope you all are gonna have a good time, get some good food, enjoy each other's company, talk to your friends and family, all that good stuff. So I know that it's early, so I might be a little bit out of it, but I'll try to do my best to explain this. Today we're doing a VGC 17 team report. This is a team that I used in the past two PCs that I managed to win, and undefeated in both. So the team's pretty good. It's basically a copy of T-Man's Duck Team with a few adjustments, changes. I'm not sure exactly his sets and things. The main difference is I didn't use Buzzswole, I used Cortana, but we'll get into that more in depth coming up. And I decided to make this team report. I know a lot of people are excited for VGC 18 and probably don't care about this, but some of you still have PCs, mid-season showdowns, and I know Memphis regionals is still coming up before the Switch, so I figured this might be a fun team to test for those tournaments coming up, if you feel inclined to do so. Alright, without further ado, this is a VGC 17 Duck team report, and the team I'll introduce. First, you have, of course, Double Ducks with Golduck holding the Waterium Z, with Modest Nature, 252 special attack. Oh, hang on, give it a take. Okay, never mind. 172 speed and 84 HP. The speed EVs on this Golduck were to outspeed Jolly Garchomp, Scarf Jolly Garchomp, maximize his attack, and the rest were just put into bulk in HP. I ran Scald, Ice Beam, Encore, and Protect. I chose Scald over Hydro Pump because I did not like missing. I tested Hydro Pump, and I don't know, having the threat of being able to miss, especially in a game-winning moment, tears my nerves up. And I noticed with the team, Hydro Vortex with Scald picked up KOs on almost everything I needed it to, especially if I had just a little bit of chip damage. Say Muck, I know I needed at least a slight bit of chip on Muck, but most of the time I was able to get it before using Waterium Z. Encore was also a huge choice. I know sometimes you run Scald and Hydro Pump, but Encore was there. A lot of times games would come down to a opponent had Celesteela, and I would have Golduck Pelipper, and there'd be no rain, and they would have be setting up a Leech Seed, or they would protect to stall at the last turn of rain or Tailwind. So on that, after that protect, I'd be able to Encore. They'd be stuck, and then I could whittle them down until the game was over. And that happened a few times, not very often, but it was the threat of Golduck really helped. The threat of Encore really helped, especially in best of 3. And now you have Pelipper down here with the Focus Sash, Modest Nature, Simple Spread, 252 special attack, speed, and 4 HP. I'm running Brine on it because Brine, of course, doubles its base power when the opponent has less than 50%, and not very many Pokemon could stay above 50% after a water boosted Scald or Hydro Vortex. So picking up first round KOs on Porygon 2, Celesteela, any other Pokemon that I'm not thinking of at the moment, it was really good for that. Hurricane, of course, was there to take on grass types, Buzzwole, fighting types, Hariyama, Tapu Bulu, things like that. And of course, Tailwind Protect, fairly simple spread. Next, we have Tapu Koko. This is kind of also a staple on rain teams. I have the Life Orb, Timid Nature. I wanted to make sure I was outspeeding or equal speed with the rest of Tapu Koko on the field. Simple Spread, Thunder, Dazzling Volt Switch, Protect. There's not much to say here. Life Orb Thunder in rain is insanely good, even with Tapu Koko's average special attack stat, especially in electric terrain. The last PC I played in, I had to hit 2 Thunders outside of rain. One was against a Belly Drum Snorlax, and another was against Celesteela, where he had a +1 defense boost and there's +1 special defense boost in Volt Switch would not have KO'd. So that's the only time that I used a non 100% move, and oh, it was nerve-wracking, but I managed to luck out and hit both of them. But yeah, I wouldn't change anything about. I wouldn't use Thunderbolt over Thunder because the extra damage from Thunder was too good. Picking up one-hit KOs on like Tapu Lele, super bulky Finny, not bulky Metagross. I think AV Metagross and Muck, if EV right, are able to live it with a little bit of HP. So that's something I had to be careful for too. Then here's my difference between the standard Duck team. I think this is the difference. I don't know where Kartana may have been used before. I'm not sure. But I chose to use a Choice Scarf, Adamant Kartana. Simple spread. I didn't choose to go for any bulk or anything. Of course, I probably should have, but I just didn't. Then you have Leaf Blade, Razor Leaf, Smart Strike, and Sacred Sword. Razor Leaf was actually really good. It has a high critical hit chance, and you're going to hit both opponents. So it made opponents switching in, say I had Pelipper, it made them feel threatened. They couldn't switch in their Gastrodon, or they couldn't, if they did switch in their Gastrodon, I didn't have to guess a slot. Like, I was able to just press the button, and if they switched in, it was gone. Kartana was also super helpful when taking care of Pheromosa. Most teams at this point were running Fight Z Mosa, so if I led Kartana, I could easily Smart Strike and pick up the KO and just take out their Z move immediately. It was also super good for bringing it in at the late game. I would bring in Kartana at the very end when they only had like one Pokemon left. They had Coco with a little bit of chip, and then I sent in Kartana, and you're not thinking Scarf. You're like, okay, well, I can just Thunderbolt the Kartana and win this game. Well, no, I'm Scarf, so I did Leaf Blade and pick up the KO on Coco, and it was super satisfying. Next, we have Alolan Muck. I have Papa Berry, Adamant. I went for 252 attack, 252 HP, and 4 speed. Now, the 4 speed was actually a mistake. I didn't know I was running 4 speed the whole time. I thought it was 4 special defense. But, I mean, it didn't affect me much at all, I don't suppose. And I was running, I think it was 7 or 8 IVs in speed. And the reason for that was because after one curse, I could underspeed, min speed Marowak. And that was important, especially against Trick Room teams. If I could get a curse up turn 1, because normally they would protect to be in Trick Room, that way they would underspeed Muck and use Bone Meringue or something. But if I could curse and then I could knock off, and after +1 knockoff is going to KO. But non or just neutral knockoff usually does about 80%, and that moves with Thick Club. And then of course knockoff Poison Jab. I chose Poison Jab over Gunk Shot for the same reason as Scald over Hydro Pump. I don't like missing, even though Poison Jab doesn't pick up necessary KOs on like Finny. But with P2 and Muck, I was able to return Poison Jab, knockoff, Ice Beam, and whittle down teams in Trick Room. Then we have Porygon 2 with Sassy Nature. I mean, that's a standard EV spread for P2. The first PC, I actually ran Toxic on my Porygon 2, and that was for certain, I think it was, I ran it for other Porygon 2, and I can't remember exactly what the reasoning was, but I had a good one at the time. The whole tournament, I pressed Toxic one time. It was against Amanda Buzz. So the next tournament, the next PC I went to, I decided last minute to switch up Toxic and put Return on. As a Finny was being super popular at the moment, so it was really hard to even use Toxic, especially because Coco, I used Coco at the beginning of the games or late game. I wasn't pivoting with him very often. So they had terrain control majority of the time. And return is also super good whenever you get, the opponent would usually EVs. So P2 gets attack boost. Well, +1 attack boost. I think it does like 60% to Coco, like 40% to Tapu Fini. Like, it does a lot of damage and it's really good. And of course, recover, Trick Room, Ice Beam for Garchomp. I couldn't pick up KOs on Garchomp if I was at neutral special attack, but I would still do an insane amount of damage. And +1, it was game over. +1, I could even KO some Kartana. Yeah, that's the squad, guys. And then common leads. You have Golduck, Pelipper, Tapu Koko, Porygon 2, Tapu Koko, Pelipper. This team, I've actually led each Mon with each other. Like, they're all super good. I don't think I ever led Golduck P2 together. But normally it was either Pelipper or Coco going out. Coco was good with Muck, especially against Sun teams. I usually ran Pelipper Golduck when the opponent didn't have any weather, and it didn't look like their only method of speed control was either a slow Trick Room or a Tailwind, which I could easily mitigate. Coco P2 was when I wanted to play Trick Room or threaten Trick Room. I could either Volt Switch out into Muck, or I could stay in and double up, or play some mind games there. And Tapu Koko Pelipper was usually for when they didn't have any other form of weather or terrain control, and I could spout off Thunders. If they had Togedemaru or Marowak, it was hard for me to bring Coco, so that's when I usually bring Double Ducks against those two squads. And also the threat of Encore on Golduck was super good, because I could Encore fake outs from Togedemaru or other fake out users. And dealing with other teams, here I have some standard cores and that I had a basic game plan for. Of course, supporting Mons may have altered my decisions, but standardized, like for the first Lilycall. For a standardized Lilycall team, that usually ran like a Rangaroo, Pheromosa, Tapu Lele, and whatever the last one was. I would typically lead Coco and Muck, switch out Tapu Koko for Pelipper turn 1, and knock off Torkoal to remove Charcoal. And my game plan was to whittle down, or basically, since I bring in the rain, Lilligant was almost non-existent. It couldn't hurt my Muck, especially when I had electric terrain up. And I mean, I always had to feel the threat of Tapu Lele, but it was very rare he would switch into Tapu Lele in front of a Muck when the threat of Poison Jab was there. So I would basically whittle down the Torkoal, and Oranguru didn't like knockoffs. And yeah, so I mean, it was basically just whittle down the opponent, counter his Sun, make sure I had rain up at all times. Whenever I faced opposing Duck teams, this was not very often. I think it never came up at a tournament, just in testing. I didn't have a surefire way to challenge it. I would usually just lead my own Ducks, and in turn they would lead their own Ducks. And I had to decide if I wanted to take out the Pelipper or I wanted to take out the Golduck. Usually ended up I would target down the Golduck with a Hurricane Hydro Vortex combo. You basically had to make sure you had the speed control during that match. I tried leading Coco P2 one time, and the mind games there are just really hard to play. It puts you at a disadvantage if you don't counter the Ducks with Ducks, basically. Luckily, it didn't show up in a tournament, because that would have been one I wouldn't want to face. Lele Mandibuzz, this also works with Lele Drifblim, I suppose. I would usually lead Double Ducks, and I would always have Muck in the back. Usually Muck and P2 in the back. Because generally with these types, they also had like a Togedemaru or a Marowak, or, Garchomp, things that would counter Coco. And it was really good because I could almost totally ignore Mandibuzz. Especially the foul play variants. Now if they had Snarl, it was a little bit trickier. I had to do some switching around, but I was guaranteed I could just target down the Lele consistently. First turn Tailwind, Hydro Vortex the Lele. Next turn Scald, Brine the Lele slot. And they wouldn't want to switch out their Mandibuzz to lose their special defense boost. So it kind of just was dead weight the whole time. Good Stuff's team. Good Stuff's was where this team shined, I think. Even though the Ducks team is somewhat frail, it has really good switching abilities and defensive synergy. So if they had Garchomp Coco, well, I could lead my P2 and I could lead my Coco, switch Coco out or protect and return the Coco. He would protect Garchomp, deal massive damage, things like that. It was just really fun to play against Good Stuffs with this team. Celesteela was kind of annoying, especially if it was paired beside a Marowak or Togedemaru. It required you to be more you had to predict switches more often, and you couldn't just go for Thunderbolt or Thunders. You couldn't just go for Volt switches. You have to play around that and make sure you take out the threats before you handle the other things. Hard Trick Room. This also came up only in testing. Teams like Lucario or Oranguru lead. My game plan for those is similar to Mandibuzz Lele. I would try to ignore the threats that I didn't think were most important, like Lucario. Sometimes they would go for Follow Me or Final Gambit. Well, Protect turn 1, he Final Gambit's into Protect, and then he has Trick Room with a fast Lucario on the field. Well, next turn he's going to Choice Scarf, Follow Me, and a Oranguru beside him. Neither one of those Pokemon are going to do much. So then I could kind of just play around it, do some switching, waste Trick Room turns as much as I can. And then when I felt like he was going to attack or do something, then I would put the pressure on. It's really about playing smart and knowing who to take out and who to leave on the field. That way it puts you in the best position. And then here's just some strategies. Just kind of little notes I wrote about the team. The Scald thing is the beginning. I already explained that. Scald and Brine, I already explained that. Prioritizing knockouts. Oh yeah, P2. Porygon 2 is probably my MVP of the tournament. The second PC, it came down to my second round match. I had Golduck and Porygon 2 in versus Mudsdale, Arcanine, Tapu Fini, and something else. I can't remember what it was, but it was 4-on-2, and it ended up Porygon 2 had to return, recover, Ice Beam. I had to do some nice protecting and switching, or nice, not switching, protecting and recovering, and managed to pull it out. And Porygon 2 is awesome. He is just a beast. Return is such a good move on Porygon 2, especially with no investment. I couldn't imagine if you had significant attack investment with Adamant and you got that +1 return. But it was a great choice going return over Toxic, but that was of course a meta call. It wasn't standard. The first tournament I had Toxic and I was 100% confident in Toxic. And now I already explained the Muck set and I already explained Scarf Kartana. Alright, yeah guys, that's probably gonna be the end of this little team report. I know it's not super interesting, but if you feel like having a last-ditch VGC 17 fun, why don't you put this team in the good old showdown or whatever and test that out. Like I said, the EVs and everything are on here, everything you need to know. I will probably not be making more videos today or tomorrow since Thanksgiving. Be visiting with family and hanging out with my girlfriend and all that good stuff. But if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, comment below on what more you want to see, and subscribe to the channel. Follow me on Twitter. I'm always excited to meet new people and stuff. VGC 18 team building guide is coming up soon, and along with that, if anybody wants to needs help team building or anything, I would love to be a part of that and help out any way I can. But yeah guys, I hope you all have a fantastic Thanksgiving and the rest of your weekend. and we'll talk to you later. Peace out, guys.